Today on Mr. Media, I'll talk to Ben Linden of the Australian rock band Fools Rush In. Stick around.
Hey, did you know that you can listen to the latest Mr. Media on your phone with the Stitcher app? Stitcher is smart radio for your smartphone. Mr. Media is on demand and on the go with Stitcher. Download Stitcher for your phone today. Get the free download at Stitcher.com. That's STITCHER.com.
So much media, so little time. Who keeps track of it all? That would be me. This is Bob Andelman, and this is the Mr. Media interview. You know, MrMedia.com, MRMedia.com. Hundreds and hundreds of interviews to listen to. Come by and check out the site, which today is brought to you by thepartyauthority.us. Planning a wedding, mitzvah, or corporate event? For any and all occasions, call the Party Authority nationwide at 1-800-DIAL-DJs. That's 1-800-342-5357, where one call does it all. So where was I before the commercial? Oh, yeah. Mr. Media is recorded live, I tell you, from the new media capital of the world and the home of bands as varied as The Outlaws, Sabotage, and Deicide, Tampa Bay, Florida. Have you ever noticed that if you talk to someone, and I'm speaking to you Americans right now, if you talk to someone from Australia or England, it's pretty easy for each of us to think, oh, that guy's from London, or that guy's from down under somewhere. Or if they talk to us and they hear a Brooklyn accent, they go, oh, this guy's from Brooklyn, hey, Rocky, which is actually Philadelphia. But I digress. But, you know, when someone sings, the accents largely disappear. What's up with that? How does that work? I've never understood that. Anyway, I always enjoy introducing Mr. Media listeners to new music, and tonight is one of those shows. Joining me in a moment is Ben Linden of the Australian band Fools Rush In. Why is Fools Rush In being featured over 1,000 other bands? Well, it's not very complicated, really. I heard some cuts from their last album, Chase the Sun, liked them, and decided to share. Now, before I bring Ben Linden on, give a listen to my favorite song by Fools Rush In. This is Shine. let's play another song by Fools Rush In. This one is called Crazy. Listen to this. Ben Linden, welcome to Mr. Media.
Thank you, Bob. How are you?
I'm okay. How you doing?
Fantastic at the moment, yeah.
Yeah, I know we've had some technical difficulties, and we'll try to make that up. In your absence, I'll tell you that we played Shine On, and we also played Crazy.
Oh, excellent. Good stuff.
Great stuff. And let me ask you, this may seem like an odd first question, but when a band in one part of the world reaches the point of recording its music, how do guys in Perth, Australia, choose a name that four guys in St. Petersburg, Florida, aren't already using?
Well, we were all in our jam studio reading, magazines and stuff like that. And Mark, the singer, actually just said, oh, what about this? And we just had a funny experience the night before at a concert where we had made some fans that weren't actually there to see us, but said that we were better than the main act. And we thought, well, why not? Fools do rush in.
Huh. But, how do you know? So that's how you chose your name. But then when you get to that point of recording and selling your music, how do you know? Maybe this is too technical a thing, but how do you know that there isn't someone somewhere else on Earth who's using that name, or does it not matter at that point?
Well, for us, I suppose at that point when we first came up with it, it didn't really matter. But then when we did start looking around and thinking to record and actually put our CD into the video music libraries of the world, it just so happened that no one else was on it. Although I do believe there is a movie with Matthew Perry with the same name, so I'm not sure how that's going to conflict.
And tell me this, and I mentioned while we were trying to reconnect that Fools Rush In was actually the group, as I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, was actually another band. It was a punk band called Tantrum. that is basically same guys, essentially, but you've kind of reshaped what you're all about.
Yeah, that's right. We started off as a band called Tantrum with Mark and Ronan jamming in a garage, as you do starting off in a band. And then we kind of hit a point where our style of music was changing, and we had a few new things we wanted to accomplish, and the name Tantrum was actually taken by a few other bands around the world. And that fateful day happened, and now we're called Fools Rush In. Ronan's left the band and gone on to travel the world and see other things. And we've now got Bianca Rossiter in taking his place playing guitar. So it's a big, happy family, really. And,
so Ronan left the band, and you've actually got a young lady in the band now.
Yeah. It's quite interesting turning up at shows and people are like, well, where's the fourth member of your band? Like, can you get the girlfriend off the stage? And we're like, well, actually, she's not one of the girlfriends. She's the guitar player. So it causes a bit of hassle, but she ends up making up for it on stage. She's a bit of a shredder. So she rips it hard and takes it to the boys.
I was going to say, I saw some pictures of her at work, and I thought, wow, she must know what she's doing up there to look that good with that thing in her hand.
Oh yeah, she loves her telling. She definitely shows some of the boys up. She definitely shows me up. I'll tell you that.
Now, I said the first song we played was during the introduction. I played "Shine On." It's got a sound that certainly in the States would be a very commercial sound. What can you tell us about that song?
Shine On was, the lyrics and the bio was written a lot by Ronan and Mark in a few of the earlier days. The song was written not as commercially sounding as that, but when we hit the studio with Laurie McCallum, our sound engineer, we kind of took a turn for writing a song that flowed a lot easier than what we had already. The piano riffs and the synth production and stuff all came in only in the studio. So when we recorded, it was more like a rock demo. And by the time we spent time in the studio recording it, it ended up like that, like with quite a commercial big rock song sound. So
I like that song a lot. Now, tell me, are you influenced mostly by Australian bands or bands from elsewhere? Is it more of a world type of thing? I'm always curious about this type of thing.
A lot of people think that because we don't hear anything else, but we're of course influenced by all the major rock bands in the world, and especially Australian bands, just because we can get down there every week and see them play, and they tour Australia a lot more. Like we're really privileged when we get bands from the States coming over playing concerts. But we obviously see our own homegrown bands a lot more around the traps. So yeah, it's a bit of everything really. There are Australian bands that really have shaped our style, but it's everyone. It's all around the world. It's just music in general.
And I don't know what point we lost you. We lost our connection, but I was saying in the introduction, really kiddingly, but it's interesting that you can hear you and I speaking. It'd be clear to any observer that we're from two different places. We sound like where we're from. But when you guys sing, or someone from England sings, we hear that, and you can't tell. There's no dialect. There's no accent in the singing. Why do you think that is?
Well, probably two reasons. Arkavi concentrates on keeping his voice Australian sounding, or keeping his own personal sound, rather than a lot of bands seem to end up with this American accent because, I don't know, American produced music sounds fantastic, and sometimes they try and copy that in their own style. And we made a conscious effort for Mark to just sing exactly how his voice comes out, and if that's what it is, that's what it is. And it seems like he just gets a relatively well-rounded accent, and I like listening to it. It sounds a bit weird for me to say that, but I like the sound of Mark's voice. So
it's just interesting to me. I mean, if I hadn't indicated on the show that you guys are from Australia, and just played the song, I don't think any of the songs, I don't think anyone would have said, oh, they're from Australia. I think they're just saying, wow, that's a great band. Where are they from? You know, is this the Seattle band? Where are they?
Oh, great. Yeah, cool. Thank you. Now, maybe we should tour the States or something.
I think that would be great. Now, are you okay if we run a little over the time that we originally scheduled?
Yeah, that's fine, Bob. Sorry to talk to you.
No, it's no problem at all. Because what I'd like to do is I would like to play the title song from Chase the Sun, and then maybe come back and talk about that a little bit. Is that all right?
Yeah, no worries at all.
Okay. All right, well, folks, this is I'm speaking with Ben Linden of the Perth, Australia band Fools Rush In, and this is the title song from their last album, Chase the Sun. I really like that. I'm here. I've got the headphones on. My head's bopping back and forth. Again, folks, I got to be honest with you. This is Bob Andelman. You're listening to the Mr. Media radio interview with Ben Linden of the Perth, Australia band Fools Rush In. Tell us a little bit about that song, Ben.
Well, most bands write a song vibe, and they all kind of stick to it, and that's their one sort of avenue. But that song, I reckon every member of the band has a different sort of feeling about that song. Like for me, I do a lot of surfing up and down the west coast of Australia, and when we're travelling in the car, driving for hours, that's the sort of song that I'm happy to put on repeat a few times and just sing to myself. It's sad that I sing my own music, but it's good. It's a good party song. It's driving. It's cruising. It's just all about chasing the sun, really, just getting out there and having a good time.
Now, how do the songs come together? Is one person writing them, or does the band all contribute on some? How does that work within the Fools Rush In?
With the new configuration, with the anchor in the band, it's really some of us kind of, we would sit in our rooms playing the instruments, and someone will come up with an idea and bring maybe a riff into the jam studio and say, like, oh, I've just come up with this riff and I really need some help, like writing some chords to it or something like that. We've all kind of got our own like little thing that we're good at. Like Mark's obviously quite good at writing lyrics and singing nice melodies. He's also quite good at coming up with hooky little guitar riffs. Bianca's really good at the same sort of thing, like the hooky riffs and the big chords. And he's obviously he can get quite a good feel to a song just with this tempo and the drum beat. And I'm kind of, I'm the bass player, so I'm kind of lazy. I just kind of hang out at the back and I'm kind of like the radar. I just decide what's cool and what isn't cool. So.
Picking on yourself, that's pretty good. Most guys would go for taking shots at the drummer.
Oh, no. Andy's really good. I like to, I couldn't have a go at him.
Tell us a little bit about life in the band in Perth. Do you play out a lot? Are you working, day jobs? What's the situation for Fools Rush In?
At the moment, Mark is a teacher. He's been teaching high school kids for about 4 or 5 years now. That's a full-time thing. I'm a qualified furniture maker, so I spend a bit of time working in dusty factories. And he's a social worker, like a youth worker. He helps kids who are having a bit of a rough time in open-doored facilities, so any kids can walk in off the street and he's kind of sitting there like willing to have a chat or, just sort things out. And Bianca is studying law at university, which is obviously, I would assume, quite a full-time thing as well. But yeah, so the band's kind of like the outlet, yeah.
And what's the band's ambition? What do you guys want to see happen? Do you want to see this become a full-time career? Do you want to continue to do it, in tandem with your day jobs?
Well, most bands would say we're packed to the nines and everything else like that. I can't say I would be against that. But really, I think for all of us in the band, what we really want to do is, if our songs are valid enough for people to, like you were saying, nod your head and just enjoy the music, maybe even lose yourself into a bit, smile or, I don't know, do something like show a bit of emotion. That's awesome. That's exactly what we want. Have people at a gig singing our songs back at us, belting the lyrics and just, having some beers and having a good time.
I want to play one more song before we let you go. This is Real World, which I think I understand. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is an upcoming release, and this is Real World by Fools Rush In.